Off the Beaten Path is sponsored by Bemis.
There's nothing wrong with how I walk. I can read and write just fine. Boom. That's all gone.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
I've got a poem, something about it's spring and fall, and then all of a sudden it's Christmas, meaning your life, you know.
She's homeless and lives in a storage shed where it's very cold, and I worry about her every night.
And when I put the drugs down, I needed something to cope with, so I picked up the bottle.
When I was 8 months old, they found out that I had neuroblastoma, which is a type of cancer.
It got saved, but it's been basically in a dusty corner for a long time.
Coach McNichols had this vision. He knew exactly what he wanted to do.
He had enough from his injury for his heart to beat, but there wasn't anything else left of him.
Welcome, folks. It's the second annual Best of Off the Beaten Path half-hour special, brought to you by our friends at Bemis. Over the past year, Chief Photographer Mike Latta and I have sat in many living rooms across the Wabash Valley. We've celebrated with folks. We've laughed. Sometimes we've cried. We've seen incredible dedication and awesome camaraderie. Well, hopefully today, in this show, you'll get to know some of the people we've been lucky enough to meet in our community over the past few years. We start today with a piece shot so long ago, it's in standard definition. But the pride one local baseball player took in America's pastime was too good to leave out.
Now batting number 8.
You go up there coming down to closing innings of a game, and it's a tie game. You got a guy on second base to go ahead run, and you can feel the butterflies in your stomach before you go up there.
The American pastime, from its purest form as a pickup game in a backyard field, lined with hope of someday playing on the big stage. Baseball, a simple game that means so much to so many, means even more to Ryan Rudock.
Nothing that Ryan does ever surprises me. He goes after it, and whatever he sees as the ultimate prize, then he's going to accomplish it.
Sean Turner coached Ryan during his entire career at Terre Haute North. While Ryan wasn't the biggest, strongest, or fastest athlete, his competitive edge earned him a spot on the team at Wabash College. Ryan's baseball dreams were so close to reality until summer of 2010 while working here at Carlisle Elementary School. With one false step, he fell off the roof, turning those dreams into a nightmare.
I mean, he said the amount of blood that was there was unbelievable, that I was even alive, trying to get up.
Ryan was immediately airlifted to Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. He fought through brain surgery and a risky move by doctors to take him off a ventilator. And after 20 days in a coma, Ryan won the battle.
I remember waking up, didn't know where I was, and when my mom saw that I woke up, she came running over to the bedside.
But the war was far from over. Doctors told Ryan he'd be lucky to walk correctly, let alone run. And that meant baseball wasn't an option.
Going in, I kind of already had a chip on my shoulder. I was going to be one of the smaller guys there. Then having this accident and everybody telling me you're not going to play baseball, they just threw gasoline on a fire that was already burning.
So quick. To get back to where he needed to be, Ryan turned to his former Little League coach.
Use your arms, you got to use your arms.
Bruce Roselli.
Nice.
A former Olympic athlete.
Up.
And Roselli says the progress he's witnessing is incredible.
Up.
He looks like he's a master at it. These foot drills with the ladder drills, you know, in and out. He's making his foot speed a lot faster. To me, an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to help this young guy get back to his goals, and the good thing is he's got the drive to do it.
Now Ryan's back in school and he continues to train so he can prove all the doubters wrong.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of just the players at Wabash, and they all believe in me. The coaches up there believe in me. My family believes in me. Everybody does.
When doctors think that you may not ever come back to being the regular person that you were before that, to me this is a miracle.
Sometimes we have a little help from upstairs, and it's a little over the head of doctors, and that's okay too.
It's the little things that people take for granted. You know, there's nothing wrong with how I walk. I can read and write just fine. Boom, that's all gone. And it just gives you a little better perspective on life.
Doing whatever it takes to play a simple game that means so much to so many.
You really got to be focused to play this game. There's no other game like it. That's what I love about it.
Well, at a time when our nation feels very politically divided, this story is about a local custodian doing what he can to bring people together. From the outside, Hoosier Prairie feels like most elementary schools. Some unique architecture for sure, but still comfortably familiar. There's a flag hanging over the entrance to their gym, the Stars and Stripes. A perfect match to the one janitor Richard Goodall lowers at the end of each day.
A lot of us janitors are really jokey and jovial. Walk down the hallway with a whistle and a pep in their step, you know.
He mops, polishes, does everything you'd expect a janitor to do.
I like cleaning. I mean, making things clean, making things look nice in the whole school. Raise my hand.
And then some.
Bow my head. It's just about the singing and making the people smile and forgetting about their problems.
As he sweeps,
just what I can see,
he sings.
Oh, I,
loudly too.
Lord, I believe. I would have one headphone in my ear and I'd be just in that moment, and there'd be a kid come up and they'll say, "Man, you sound pretty good."
Of course the kids think it's cool, but lately,
oh yes, I believe.
There's even more behind Goodall's favorite tune.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. So many things are going on in this country, and I don't care what political arena you're in. People are just so beside themselves, either one way or another. And I won't forget the man who died, who gave that right to me.
So whether it's while cleaning the school, in a contest, or at a local karaoke hotspot, Goodall keeps one thing in mind.
For me, singing that song, people just stop. And they forget about Democrat, Republican. It's just one nation, under God, indivisible, for all. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend us through the day.
Just one guy trying to do his part until the curtain closes.
God bless the USA!
At Hoosier Prairie Elementary with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, I'm Ross Rowling, News 10. Well, who doesn't love Christmas? The holiday season is upon us, but as you'll see in this next story, it doesn't have to be late in the year for one local lady to celebrate.
I get up real early while it's cool, and I quit about noon.
Even the sultry summer sizzle can't keep Doris Patterson out of her garden.
My hummingbird came back last week. They just come at certain times.
She's 87 years old, and this summer, it's her blackberry patch that's thriving most.
Tomorrow I'll get 2 bucketfuls off of them.
She's lived right here since 1952. That's when her husband built the place. But that was just the beginning of the building over the course of a 67-year marriage.
It feels good in here. I've got a poem, something about it's spring and fall, and then all of a sudden it's Christmas, meaning your life, you know. It's neat.
But here, it's Christmas, year-round.
Isn't this neat?
Doris and her husband Pat started collecting Santas years ago. Then,
when I do the eyes, I have to do that white in there.
They started making them, and making them, and making them. Pat cut them out, and Doris would paint. Suddenly, their house, a home lined with Christmas cheer.
Yeah, I love every bit of it.
A true testament to teamwork.
We shared everything. We went every place together. If we went to get a hamburger, we went together.
But a couple of years ago, it stopped.
But you got to have the desire too, and when you lose your partner, you don't really have that desire like you did. I try to make myself do it, but it's hard to do.
On June 8th, 2014, Pat passed away.
And every once in a while I'd find something I'd like to have cut out and see I don't have any way to get it cut out now that he died.
Doris still paints, but it's not the same. Living proof that true love does exist, and together anything is possible, even Christmas in July. In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rowling, News 10. Unfortunately, not all Christmas stories are filled with cheer. Next, we take a look at a local child who certainly had her wish list in perspective a couple years ago. Holiday Hustle.
There you go. And you have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you.
The familiar sound of giving echoes through the air.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
And of course, a wish to Santa.
Yeah, you want toys, don't you? Yeah.
But it was a wish from 8th grader Elizabeth Lawless that caught our attention. Her email to us, in her words, goes like this.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Lawless. I am asking Santa this year for a house for my mom. She's homeless and lives in a storage shed where it's very cold, and I worry about her every night. I cry hoping she's safe and warm. So can you please tell Santa?
Tell Santa her name is Carrie Johnson in Paris, Illinois. Thank you, love, Elizabeth Lawless.
That's her mom. And this is where she lives.
I always keep pictures of my babies.
A storage unit, the place Carrie has called home for the past month and a half.
There's bugs.
Elizabeth lives safely with the family of a friend at school who treat her like their own.
I want Elizabeth just to be happy, and I could give her everything in the world. I could buy her everything in the world if I could. But that's still not going to fill her heart with what she's wanting.
She's not asking to move back in with Mom, just a chance for a better relationship.
Whenever it's quiet, I just sit there and think and wonder if she's wondering about me.
I started crying because I want my daughter to be safe and happy, not worry about me. It's supposed to be the other way around.
Carrie and Elizabeth haven't lived together for years, yet somehow, this Christmas, their hope is the same.
Thought my mom could get her life back together and get a house so I can visit her and stuff.
And not have to worry about being homeless again, ever.
A child's worried wish.
And I worry about her every night. I cry hoping she's safe and warm.
The most selfless wish of all.
So can you please tell Santa?
With Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta.
Thank you. Love, Elizabeth Lawless.
I'm Ross Rowling, News 10. Well, sometimes different temptations in life can get you off track. Luckily, there are good people around to get you back on your feet. We saw just that in this story. It's called One Step Program.
You ever heard that saying, idle mind is a devil's playground?
It's a dangerous place.
You sit and you do nothing, and the only thing you can do is just think.
People have got to get to the bottom before they can get back up to the top.
The lines of life can tell you almost anything if you're paying attention. Rings around the inside of a tree, telling its age. Veins bulging out of a young man's arm, showing the work he's done. Or the scars that run across them, reminders of his dark past.
It really just felt like there was no end. And I didn't really believe in God, but I prayed, that he'd get me out of it, because I didn't know how. It's not very light, is it?
The prayers led Sergei Holzer here, tucked next to a railroad crossing in Terre Haute, a non-for-profit group called Step Back to Basics.
It's not what brought me here, I guess, it's what made me stay. So I stayed because I liked it. I came here out of necessity.
They believe so much in the place, they keep coming back.
A former addict himself, Director Donnie Townsend supervises young men with a troubled past who come here for a fresh start. Sawing, splitting, and stacking.
No, it looks good. You did a good job.
What started as a means to heat the temporary homes for these men has turned into a business that's helping fund the project.
So we're taking a product that's disregarded by society, and we're taking humans that nobody wants to mess with, Even people in the churches are afraid to mess with people that have been on drugs. They don't want to get them too close in their lives.
Won't do your family no good sitting at home.
And it's here, hundreds of men, just like Sergey, have gotten back on their feet.
My mother kicked me out at 15 because I wasn't exactly the typical teen. Got into drugs real heavily. I did that before I got into alcohol. And then when I put the drugs down, I needed something to cope with. So I picked up the bottle.
Trading the bottle for a chainsaw, occupying his mind for hours on end, keeping addiction as far away from his thoughts as possible.
People are not going to quit anything till they hate what it is they're doing. They got to get to the point that they realize it's causing a problem.
It's more than a paycheck. It's a friend. It's somebody I can talk to when I'm feeling down, and that way I don't go turn around and do the same things I used to do.
Now with a fiance and a house of his own, his children back in his life, Sergey Holzer is back on track.
If I didn't find this place, or the Lord didn't show this place to me, I wouldn't even be here to talk to anybody. I wouldn't be seeing my children, except for behind bars, you know.
Even the deepest of scars can heal.
Now instead of my boys being afraid of me, they actually come up to me and tell me, "Hey Dad, I'm glad you got God in your life." And that's the coolest thing to hear.
Sometimes it's as simple as a one-step program. In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, I'm Ross Rowling, News 10. Well, now in her senior season at Southern Indiana University, Katie Grooms has already surpassed 1,000 points. Here's a look back at a story done during her senior year at Marshall High School, showing just what she had to overcome to get there. Calm on the surface, with an inner fire to win. She's been winning for a while.
When I was a baby, the community really helped me, and now I'm just trying to give back to them.
It's a game that's been a part of her life as long as she can remember.
I just feel like I must be meant to play basketball after all these things, so.
But the basketball victories don't even scratch the surface if you're talking triumphs with Katie Grooms.
Coming into my freshman year, I jammed my finger pretty bad in basketball, playing basketball, and the only way to fix it was surgery. And the surgery went really bad, and I ended up having amputation my freshman year of high school.
One tough customer, Katie still played her freshman season. Now missing part of her ring finger on her right hand, the jumper seems fine. She's just 110 points shy of breaking Marshall's all-time scoring record.
When obstacles come your way, just look at them as a challenge to overcome and not really think of them as setbacks.
A battle-tested warrior on the floor. The biggest fight of all came when Katie was just a baby.
When I was 8 months old, they found out that I had neuroblastoma, which is a type of cancer.
We were faced with the reality that, you know, now you have a child that is very ill and may not make it through this. This is some serious stuff going on here, and, you know, it really makes you realize how lucky you are to have your health.
Now cancer-free, Grooms continues to shine. She's earned a full ride to play at Southern Indiana. After all she's been through, no task seems too tall.
When you hit the bottom, you just got to climb back up, and that's, you know, she's so resilient, and I'm so proud of her because that's what she did. And through everything in life, that's just how she is. She's a fighter, and she faces challenges, and she just works through them.
For now, the goal is to keep this undefeated Lady Lion streak alive. A fitting end to a wonderful journey.
It would mean the world to me. You know, basketball has been such a big part of my life, and this is the last time to, I guess, make a statement before I graduate. And I think that me and the rest of the seniors and the team have worked really hard this year, and it would just be icing on the cake to be undefeated.
Who knows whether Marshall will remain unbeaten this season, but one thing's for sure. Katie Grooms isn't going down without a fight. In Marshall with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rowling, Sports 10. What better way for a father to bond with his adult son than in the garage, turning wrenches, making memories. Here's restoring the ride.
You want the ratchet?
When it comes to hobbies,
there you go. There you go.
racing rules the roost for longtime driver Tom Grover. It's been a pastime, from the rebuild,
Ease it down, but get it all the way to the floor.
to the ride.
It's an adrenaline rush, it's the feel, it's just the fun. It's the good time at the track.
But lately, there's been a new spark, a project that's got the wrenches doing double time in the Grover garage.
I'm here 8 a.m. in the mornings. I leave about noon, so 20 hours Monday through Friday, and then the weekends, so at least 36, 40 hours a week.
Grover's oldest son, Thomas, is new to the sport.
I gave him the opportunity to go down the track a couple times in my truck, and he was hooked. It's pretty easy to get that way in this sport.
Needing a second car for Thomas to drive, this father-son race team have bonded for hours on end.
You got it?
Tweaking, got it, turning,
There, perfect.
and trying to restore a car with quite the history of its own.
It's been 30 years since this car has moved under its own power, and it basically got pushed into a corner for a while and kind of forgot about, and then it got saved, but it's been basically in a dusty corner for a long time.
Not just any car. It's a car that sped down this very track in its heyday with Valley racing legend Bernie Mann at the wheel. And this weekend, it'll make its Terre Haute debut at the Bernie Mann Memorial, a tribute to its famous former owner.
Last couple of weeks, that's all I've thought about, is being able to put it in drive and be able to let go of the brake and it go forward without anything going wrong.
Go.
A passing of the torch in the local racing community.
It's kind of neat of what the car and the history that the car has, but it's the fact that I get to spend this much time with my adult son. You know, anytime you get to spend time with your kids when they're children, but once they become adults and move out, when they'll come back and spend some time with you and work on a project, it's a lot of fun.
A car passed from one family to another, with moments along the way that make this ride irreplaceable. In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, I'm Ross Rowling, News 10. Hard to believe that next month it'll be a year since legendary Indiana State coach John McNichols passed away. 34 years at the helm of the track and field and cross-country programs. But out of his vision, a facility was born right here in the valley that's sure to live on. As a new day breaks at Laverne Gibson Cross Country Course, its beauty unfolds.
We want to be known as the course.
Certain as the sunrise, runners come to train.
Cross country and distance running is just such a grueling sport.
The grass perfectly manicured. It's not hard to see why the NCAA championships have so often called this course home.
We're not called Cross Country Town USA for nothing.
But perhaps the most interesting view of all comes on the back side of the course, about 500 yards from the finish.
You see the tree and you don't really feel the pain too much anymore.
Called simply the shoe tree.
It adds another unique feature to the course.
It just kind of appeared.
You know, the late Coach John McNichols first started to notice some shoes in the tree about 2004.
Since then, it's multiplied.
The main tree is behind us here, but we do have a tree starting to have some shoes in it down the way.
Hundreds of shoes dangling by the laces, like ornaments high in the sky. Some bright, some weathered, and some that didn't quite make it.
I think it has a different meaning for everybody.
An iconic marker of one of the top venues in the country.
Coach McNichols had this vision. He knew exactly what he wanted to do.
And he did it.
We've kind of transformed the way cross-country is seen around the country.
Each shoe represents someone's story.
As long as we keep having cross-country meets out here, kids are going to do this.
And this tradition keeps those stories around.
Who knows? In another 10, 15 years, you could see most of these trees along the way have shoes in them.
Giving a vision, life. In Terre Haute with Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, I'm Ross Rowling, News 10. We close the show today with a story that I personally will never forget. It defines dedication, a prime example of perseverance, an absolute labor of love. This story is called Steps of Triumph.
We received the phone call. Nobody wants, no parent, no one wants.
As we travel down the path of life, each step presents a new challenge.
There's always a plan for our lives, and we believe that for Drew. And so whatever that plan was, we were in.
Drew Christie, a poster boy for good fitness and great character. The drive of a champion with the heart to go with it. A football standout, a classroom standout. Drew had it all. Then just like that, life changed.
That first day, week, month, maybe I could even say year, you're really dealing with dashed dreams.
Drew, we knew had the heart of a champion, and that's basically what they told us. He had enough from his injury for his heart to beat, but there wasn't anything else left of him.
This icy road, the site of the crash, it stripped Drew of the life he and his family grew to know. It took everything but his heart. And that's where this story starts.
Everything that's in this room, every rehab appointment we go to, is to set him up to achieve his ultimate best. And he still has the heart of a champion, and he's trying to get to his best.
Keep bringing that head up. Your shoulders are strong. Your hands are strong on there.
For the past 6 years, Drew's parents have worked tirelessly in his rehab process.
We have our 1%er, and he's far from vegetative. But we knew that Drew was a 1%er. He always has been.
You can't get down when people keep coming and shoring you up, excuse me. I used to think I knew what being a good friend was, but people have shown me what being a good friend is.
Ready, go.
Hall of Fame high school football coach Mark Wildman, just one face of a community that's backed the Christies from day one.
I think it was his physical ability that saved his life.
There you go, there you go. Good job.
Every Monday, he's there, working with his former standout, coaching for a different result.
Talking and walking. I mean, that's the two big things to come yet.
Contagious optimism flows throughout Drew's world, and the drive to heal takes the forefront.
It's just something that just became a part of him, and it's a part of him that a car wreck couldn't take away. You know, he still has that within him.
Drew has spoken. He has walked. He knows what it feels like. He knows what he understands words. So I have tremendous hope.
You better hurry or I'm going to get both.
It's the hope that's led to the Christies' now 6-year motto.
Truly, we never know what's going to happen to us, and the most important day is today, and we should all treasure it.
Day by day, they've taken all the right steps along the road to recovery.
Nice job. That looks better.
I could wish for all kinds of other outcomes, but really, we are so good here because there's so much to be thankful for. There's so much.
We thumbs up quite a bit around here. And that pretty much tells how we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty good.
Keep it up.
Each step.
Okay.
A step.
Come on.
Of triumph.
Yeah, good job.
With Chief Photojournalist Mike Latta, Ross Rowling, Sports 10. I'm happy to report that since this story aired a few years ago, Drew continues to progress. He stood on his own for up to a minute, and I know that improvement will continue. Well, a big thanks to the folks at Bemis for making a project like this possible. Email me your stories, and we'll see you next time on Off the Beaten Path.